Welcome to At the Seams. I'm Damon Morehouse, where we talk baseball, usually Yankees baseball. And today, I'm going to be giving you 8 free agents that I think the Yankees should sign and or trade for. All right, we're kicking it off. Sir Anthony Dominguez. This one's kind of a dark horse guy. I think the team's going to need a bullpen next year. What is the bullpen going to look like? We don't really know yet. Tim Hill has his option. We should, bring that back. Loizaga, we should get rid of him. He's got a team option, so they can decide to throw him into free agency, which I believe they should do. But yeah, other than it's going to be Doval and Betnar, but are we going to re-sign Devin? Are we going to re-sign Luke Weaver? It's I think we need bullpen arms, and I think Sir Anthony Dominguez could be a cheaper arm. He'll be coming over from Toronto. I think he could be a lot cheaper than maybe Devin Williams would be if they don't want to go out and spend as much money on a reliever, which I'm hoping they end up doing Devin Williams. But this could be a cheaper option. So next we got 2 first basemen. Austin Wells, not been the guy, hasn't really gotten that bat to come around. So I say we can move Ben Rice to catcher. And we got 2 first basemen. First one is Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso hit 30-plus home runs, batted .270. He's a great hitter. But the defense. And with first baseman, a lot of the first basemen, neither first baseman really specifies in defense. But if we move Ben Rice to catcher, we're going to need a first baseman. And even if we don't move Ben Rice to catcher, we're still going to need another first baseman because who's going to start catcher in Austin Wells' off days? Because we're not starting J.C. Escara in 2026. So could they go out and get another catcher to be the backup and just make Ben Rice the full-time first baseman? I say no. I say Ben Rice should become the full-time catcher, and Austin Wells will back him up, kind of like Escara did at the beginning of this year. So I think Pete Alonso, he's a good power hitter. He's just opted out of his deal. I see him getting more money. I see him possibly re-signing with the Mets, but if he does not, I think the Yankees are a great option. He loves New York, and I think, the Yankees fans would love a guy who, hits 30 homers and bats .270. I mean, you can't really complain about that. Josh Naylor is our second guy. Josh Naylor batted like .290. I mean, Josh Naylor, he batted .300 a couple years ago, but last year he batted .250, So we're looking for guys that can get on base consistently. However, this is another guy that doesn't really doesn't play good defense. However, he stole a lot of bases. He stole 30 he was 30 for 32 during the regular season, I want to say. That's great for a guy that's maybe not exactly the weight class of stealing a lot of bases. It's sometimes the players that catch you off guard that get you the most. And I think Josh Naylor would be a great addition to the team. Hits for average, he can hit for power, and also he can run the base as well, which the Yankees sometimes cannot. Bo Bichette. Another defensive liability on the list. A lot of these players in free agency aren't going to be great defenders. But neither is Volpe most of the time. Well, this year he didn't have a great year defensively. He also didn't have a great year hitting, and that's why I'm saying bring in Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette led the American League in hits. Bo Bichette is a great hitter. He's a singles hitter. He doesn't have a lot of power, but he's going to play a little below average defense. However, I think if we have him playing and then we have Volpe playing it every once in a while, I think he'll get it. And I think Bo Bichette would be a great hitter in New York. And like I said, we need players that can get on base more often. Because, it's awesome to have all these guys that hit a bunch of home runs. But if we don't have the guys that can get on base before them, so, turn these solo homers into 2-run homers or 3-run homers, that makes a way bigger impact in the season and in the playoffs than maybe a solo homer by Aaron Judge. But if you have somebody batting leadoff who's getting on base, so you have Bo Bichette singles, and then Judge hits a home run, now it goes from maybe 3-1 or 3-2 to 3-3. And it's a tie game. It's important to have a good leadoff hitter who can get on base, and Volpe just hasn't been that. Trent Grisham really wasn't a guy that was going to get on base for you, and Goldschmidt was pretty good. That's why in the playoffs last year, though Judge did not have a great year, we had Glaber and Soto getting on base all the time. So if Judge could have just did what he did this year in the playoffs, the team would have been very good. Kyle Tucker. I think this is a very popular one I hear around the Yankees. He's going to be getting like $500 million. But, he's a great hitter. He batted .270. He's going to hit for power. His defense is going to be okay. But he's a little better than Kyle Tucker, I think, offensively. And he's another lefty. I think they should, in my opinion, they should bring Cody Bellinger and Kyle Tucker into the New York Yankees. I do not have Cody Bellinger or Devin Williams on this list because I kind of talked about them in the last episode, in the last video. And I don't classify them right now as team players that they should go out and get, although I do hope they bring back Bellinger and I hope they bring back Devin Williams. Everyone else they can let go of. Steven Kwan. Steven Kwan would be more of a trade, but he's a good defender. He's fast. He gets on base. He'll be another good leadoff hitter. So I don't think they're going to get all three of these outfielders, but Steven Kwan would be probably a lot cheaper of an option because he still hits for average, but he doesn't really hit the home runs. But once again, we don't really need another guy that hits 30 home runs a season. And that's why we need to let Trent walk because we need another guy who can hit for average. And that's what I'm worried about with next year with Spencer Jones is he strikes out a lot. So is he going to be on the team next year? Probably. But what is his role going to be? Maybe an everyday starter? Depends. So first baseman / third baseman, Munetaka Murakami. He smashes the ball, He hits a lot of homers. Average is okay. It's not terrible, but it's all right. But he also strikes out a lot. He's kind of like an Ellie De La Cruz who hits for more power, where his average doesn't look terrible, but he still strikes out like 160 times a season. But he smashes the ball. He mashes. And even though his defense isn't great, he smashes. He's going to be on the more expensive side, and I've heard the Yankees as a suitor for him. If he doesn't go to LA, I think the Yankees are probably the second best team that he could go to, and I think that's the second best option for him. And then we have Kazuma Okamoto, another Japanese player. It isn't really confirmed or not if he's going to be coming into MLB free agency this year. It all depends on if the Giants, Korean team, Japanese team, posts him into free agency and lets him go. He'll be a little bit of a cheaper option, I think, for the New York Yankees, which he still hits for homers. He has a lot of better average, but he doesn't strike out, and that's a big thing. He does not really strike out. His defense is kind of okay to maybe subpar, but, it's better than Murakami's, and I think he's a better player than Munetaka Murakami. He doesn't strike out as much, and he gets on base probably a little more. And he also can hit for a little bit of power. Not as much as Murakami. Murakami could give you 50 homers. Well, this guy could make 25, but he's going to about 300. And, he's not going to strike out a lot. He's only going to strike out maybe 100 times a season, maybe 120, which is pretty good nowadays. He puts the ball in play, and that's why the Blue Jays, while they're not doing too good right now, but that's why they were so elite against the Yankees last week, which kind of hurt me. But it's because they hit the ball, they put the ball in play, and even the players in the lineup that were batting 230, they were still putting the ball in play and moving runners over. And even every once in a while, they dropped it a base hit or hit a home run. And that was what killed us. We couldn't do that. They could. So that's why I think this offseason we need players. We obviously need to bring back some players. We need to make our team better, but we also need to add players who can hit. We don't need more players who can swing for the fences. We need players who can get on base. So when those players swing for the fences and they hit one out, there's more runners on base and more runners are scoring constantly. I think, I left off a couple guys on this list. I left out Luis Ariz because I don't really think he fits in with the team. He's not good defensively. He had a down year this year, and he's nothing. There's no power there, so I don't like him coming to the team. Paul Skeens, I just kind of look at that one as too much of an outside chance to really talk about it, although trading for Paul Skeens would be great if they can bring in other outfielders, and they would have to trade Spencer Jones. And I don't think Lombard has a spot on the team next year, or maybe even the year after, because, maybe they bring him Bo Bichette, because Lombard's not ready. Lombard's probably going to still start next season in AA. I don't think he's ready to go up to AAA yet, so I think he's still got another couple of years until he's ready for the majors. He's a 240 hitter. He's not going to hit for that. He hasn't hit for very much power, but we'll see what happens into this next coming season. Maybe he'll make adjustments. So those are 8 players I think the Yankees should go after, and I'm hoping they get at least half of those. I hope they need a first baseman, maybe get a third baseman, and possibly get another outfielder, maybe 2. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Damon Morehouse, and I will see you in the next video.